Hello everyone, welcome back to the Comic Boot. I'm Kalen, and tonight we have James.
What's up?
And our third Musketeer is with us this week, Cody.
Hello.
No holidays.
So this week, like we said in our previous episode, we are going to be discussing what's going on currently in comic books, starting with DC, and we will move on into Marvel and some of the more independent books that we love.
Like weird independent books.
Well, I mean, they're weird, but in a good way.
Well, yeah, but like not like cookie cutter independent books, like the common independent books that a lot of people read. We're not going to be...
Like what?
I don't know. Like, I'm reading Moonshiners. Nobody else reads that. It's Brian Azzarello. It's amazing. But, like, Wicked and the Divine. A lot of people read Wicked and the Divine.
Not enough.
No offense.
Not enough people read it,
But
because
a lot
no
of
one
people
talks
read
about
it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people read it. We're not going to talk about that.
I'm the only person around here who really reads it.
Well,
And as far as
No
I know,
comment.
I think I might be one of the 4 people I've heard that read the Power Rangers book, but I'm still going to discuss it because
it's because we're not 12. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's
No,
okay.
hey,
It's okay.
hey.
I like my inner child. I do.
Well, I mean, would you consider IDW independent? Is that what the I stands for?
Independent.
No, image.
Independent
Image Design
daily
Works. It stands for
daywalkers. They're a bunch of vampires.
Yes. No, it's
Independent
literally like,
daywalkers.
what can we get the copyrights for? And then let's write comic books on it.
Yeah.
But weirdly
and have
enough,
a shitload of crossovers. Everyone's
Lots.
with everybody.
Lots. And now everybody's like, Injustice 2 the game. Are we going to have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Are we going to have Shredder? Are we going to have... Just because all the Batman crossovers.
If we get, like, Green Ranger as an option
They,
for
he
Injustice
already
2.
said no Power Rangers were coming into the game.
Damn it!
Yeah.
that'd be phenomenal. But
Because Jason Frank would demand his face be just plastered like as a cutout, cardboard cutout on the screen.
he would mocap the
Isn't that
character.
David,
We all know
isn't that
it.
his name?
Jason David Frank.
Jason
yeah.
David Frank. Okay. But so you're going to notice a couple of things this week. We had some really positive feedback from last week's 4 episodes, which has spurned us to go a little bit longer with our podcast. So we're going to try to hover around the 30-minute mark so we can kind of cover the things we want to cover without being interrupted, which might limit our uploads to maybe 2 a week. We're still going to do a minimum of an hour a week, no matter what. And we could go all the way up to 45 minutes for a podcast, just depending on kind of where we're looking at right now. But this is the crew. It's Cody, Kalen, and James,
Yep.
and we're here. So first thing we want to do is we're going to cover a little bit of DC stuff, a lot of DC stuff, because as we said before, we are DC fanboys, and that's the badge we wear.
Well, and Rebirth's got a lot of material, and so just expect to be kind of Rebirth for a while when it comes to DC. There are some books that aren't considered part of Rebirth that we'll be talking about. One for sure that I'm reading is Scooby Apocalypse, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But
Yeah,
Yeah, it's also DC.
yeah. But
yeah.
we're going to
So
start off
Flintstones,
with
which is
the
supposed to
book.
be amazing.
Really?
Yeah,
Flintstones?
Flintstones is supposed to be outstanding.
it's
Huh.
considered one of the greatest
Yep.
social satires ever actually written.
Yeah, it's supposed to be absolutely amazing.
I'm going to have to check that out when it comes out in trade.
Yeah.
But,
And that's kind of what I was waiting for, too, with Flintstones. But we're going to start off with actually talking about the actual DC Universe Rebirth issue. The only one, written by Jeff Johns, and then a plethora of artists. And we're going to kind of talk about how that ties in, the story arcs that happen in here with Wally West trying to find a connection to bring him back out of the Speed Force. If you haven't read it, I would argue with anyone at this point in time that it could possibly be Jeff Johns' greatest piece of writing, because what he's trying to do is he's trying to connect the New 52 to everything we loved about the pre-New 52. And by doing so, he's creating all new story arcs, bringing back characters that have been lost for years, and it's just brilliant. I haven't read a lot of Johns. I mean, I've read Blackest Night and Flashpoint. And
You've actually
Well,
read Flashpoint?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Well, I find it funny. Jeff Johns did the Flash Rebirth and the Green Lantern Rebirth back in the early 2000s,
he
which
did.
reintroduced Barry Allen and Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
And so it's kind of, in a way, this
He
is like a
liked Rebirth.
sequel to Flash Rebirth and Green Lantern Rebirth.
did,
and that
didn't he?
he's
Yeah.
bringing
Forgot all about
back
that.
Wally West, who was a Flash. And
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the new, or before
Now
the
we
New 52,
have-
he was,
now we have White Wally West
and Black Wally.
Wally West. So if we
Yep.
weren't confused before, we're really confused now.
well, we have 3 Jokers now too.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
For those
Allegedly.
of you that don't know, spoiler alert. There are
Allegedly.
3 Jokers now, allegedly.
Allegedly. Well, that's what the chair said, as Batman says.
Well, and as far as we know within the universe, the chair has never said anything wrong.
That's true.
And this is, and for those of who don't know what we're talking about when we say chair, the chair is
The Metron chair from... He's a new god, I believe, and it's from the arc The Dark Side
God of knowledge, right?
probably well. That's all Jack Kirby stuff, isn't it? The New Gods and Apocalypse and all that.
Fourth World. Yep.
He sat in the chair and asked.
He built the chair, as far
Yeah,
as
built
I know.
the chair, and then Owlman was sitting on it first, right?
Yes.
And then or Batman.
Batman
was.
and then Owlman.
But he
Maybe
has-
we should have read some stuff before we started. No, just kidding.
Well, I mean, it's almost impossible to read everything. I mean,
Is it though?
well, our wallets aren't exactly limitless.
Yeah, if we had
That's
if
true.
only we had a black card,
An
like from
MX
American
black card.
Express.
Racist. All right, so
Why it gotta be black?
Why it's
Yeah.
gotta be black card?
I don't know.
So DC,
Maybe the black ice would be
black ice.
Remember that?
I
skit
know black guys, black ice.
in the
Key and
oppressive
Peele?
white snow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Key and Peele. Good stuff.
So the Rebirth issue.
It's a lot to digest.
It is a lot to digest, and it's long. It's like 80 pages or something crazy like that.
It's worth it though.
Oh, and if you got it day one, like I know I did,
I did.
it was only $2.99.
Exactly.
Yeah, and now it's
Same
like
here.
$14 or something like
Oh,
that
yeah.
to get
For
it
the
on Amazon,
hardback?
which is crazy.
Well, the hardback is like 40 or something absurd.
No, it's 17, and then you can. They actually decided to. It's called the DC Universe Rebirth Omnibus, and it is every Rebirth one shot they've done.
They've done this
together in a book.
they've
And it's
done that
about
similar.
$50, and
pretty big.
it's about as thick. Let's say about the first Harry Potter book. So it's about a 400 page.
Well, at one point in Hastings,
book.
they had
It's-
like this giant hardcover of all of the villain one shots from the Forever Evil thing.
Yeah.
where they had that, and that was
Yeah.
at least $40.
Yeah. So what this does, obviously Jeff Johns, and then it's cut into chapters, four different chapters, and we see artists Ivan Rice, Ethan Van Sciver, Gary Frank, yeah,
Not
Phil
familiar
Jimenez,
with them. The first two I love.
yeah. Well, Ethan Van
Those are all
Van
artists.
Sciver,
He
Flash
did-
now, Green
did
Lantern.
He did Flash Rebirth and Green Lantern Rebirth with
Yeah.
Johns. Johns basically went to his people, his chosen few that he works with all the time. He's like, hey, I'm going to do this, and I want you to help me.
And those, I mean, and then of course you have all the inkers and colorists and things like that. I see Hi-Fi's name, which I'm not a big fan of, but I know a lot of people are. But
It depends on what he's doing for me.
yeah, it's whatever. But anyway, let's talk about Rebirth.
All right.
What happens?
Well, pretty much the story of Rebirth, the one shot, is Wally West trying to find a connection to allow him to escape the Speed Force, and basically,
Hits up Batman first.
yeah, he does. He hits up Batman first, and from what I remember, it's something to do with the letter Batman has in his Batcave from
Right,
his dad.
from his dad, from Flashpoint.
Yeah, from
Because
Flashpoint.
Wally says this is where it all started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Batman goes over and sees the letter and all that stuff. And then he's like, the connection's not strong enough. So he bounces out and he hits up the old man in the insane asylum. And I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head as I flip through
It's
pages.
Kent Nelson.
Who?
Kent Nelson. He's-
Dr. Fate.
Yeah, the original
Yeah,
Dr.
the
Yeah.
original Dr. Fate.
Because in the New 52, the Justice Society of America never existed. So they were, like, lost. And so he's in an insane asylum, like, they forgot about us, what's happening? And
Yeah.
he's freaking out. And Wally kind of runs through that scene really quickly.
And then from there, we get introduced to, as I just found out about 5 minutes ago,
Because you didn't know what the Ring of Legionnaires
hey,
is.
man, I didn't...
Saturn Girl.
Saturn Girl.
To answer
Yeah.
that question. Saturn Girl from
and
the Legion of
about,
Superheroes.
Yeah, and she's asking about Superman, who is gone,
Yes.
dead.
New 52 Superman.
And then we cut to what we just saw that was released this last week, the Atom Rebirth. Basically the exact panels that are in the Atom Rebirth. And we see Ryan Choi being questioned about where Ray Palmer is, and him running to the office to try to find Ray Palmer, and Ray Palmer kind of messages him through a small screen and talks about the, what does he call it?
The Microverse.
Microverse. Yeah. And so we get that. We're introduced to Adam at that point in time. And then we get the Blue Beetle stuff, which I'm not a big fan of the rebirth of that because I'm not a big fan of high school anyway. I said that before. But we see Dr. Fate. And then we get...
But what does Dr. Fate say?
That it's magic.
Yes.
Yes.
The Blue Beetle Scarab is magic. Whee!
Yeah.
Yay, magic. I'm a slut for magic.
Yeah. And so we get that, and then we move into the Green Lanterns.
Yes, Green
Which
Lanterns.
is...
The current Green Lanterns are... Well, there are two different books right now. There's Green Lanterns, and there's Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Which I just started reading.
Yeah. The Green Lanterns is about the two newest ones, Simon Boz and Jessica Cruz, and how they're basically stuck on Earth. So they're patrolling our planet while Hal Jordan is off in space doing his thing. And their very first mission is that they have to find a way to stop the Red Lantern Corps from planting like the seed of rage or something in the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of that first story arc because that was when Hastings closed down and I was like in between getting books from people.
Yeah.
So I'm missing a couple issues from that one. But the latest arc that's happening right now, the Phantom Lantern, is really good. And what that is basically within the Green Lantern universe is the ring, no matter what corps it's from, the ring has to choose you. But with the Phantom Ring, there's only one, so far as we know, and anyone can use it. And not only can anyone use it, but it can access any power from the corps, from each corps.
So theoretically, does it work only along the emotional spectrum, or does it also able to tap into black and white?
As far as I've seen, it's only
lanterns.
the emotional spectrum.
Okay.
But it was, or he was told the guy, I can't remember his name, but he's some pilot who...
Wanted to be a Green Lantern.
he wanted to be a Green Lantern so bad, and then he tried to be worthy, and then finally he got the Phantom Ring, and Volthoom...
Mm-hmm. The first lantern.
The very first lantern, and they had to deal with him in the New 52. It was like the Wrath of the First Lantern, or whatever that story arc was called.
Yeah.
But he comes back for vengeance, like they always do. And he told the pilot the oath. So he says the oath, and he's trying to be like a Green Lantern, but at the same time he's like overcome with power, and he's growing insane. And then he started tapping into the orange part of the spectrum, and that's causing some fun stuff.
Oh boy, Lar Fleas.
Mm-hmm.
Lar friggin' Fleas. So as we move through this Rebirth issue, we're introduced to the old Superman, who's the new Superman, who's alive. And
Well, the Superman from the pre-52 has come back.
Yes.
But the Superman of the new 52 has died.
Right. And so we don't see Wally West again until... I mean, we go through Superman, we go through Aquaman, we go through Green Arrow, and it's basically kind of just setting up... Yeah, reintroductions, kind of setting up their Rebirth one-shots. And then we finally see Wally show back up with Linda Park, who...
Is his wife. Or
Yeah.
was his wife in the new... Or the pre...
Pre-52.
stuff. Yes. And she has no idea who he is.
Right.
And... Which just shatters him. And eventually... He finds the one person who can understand what the hell's going on in Mr. Barry Allen.
Yep,
Yes.
my man, Barry Allen.
Interesting. Oh, so I had to do some research real quick when I was going through this again before we started recording. There's a scene in the one shot or the Rebirth of Titans that there's a birthday party, and of course Wally West, which the Wally West that this whole Rebirth issue is based around. Is in the Titans, obviously, but in the scene, there's magic, and there's a kid named Billy, and I'm like, whoa, am I getting a little Shazam, like little
Easter
Shazam
egg?
Easter egg
Yeah.
here? And I had to do a whole bunch of research. It's not. So
Oh.
That's depressing.
yeah, I know, because I know, yeah. So anyway, he finds Barry. He gets pulled out of the Speed Force, but that's not the biggest thing of note in this Rebirth issue. And if you haven't read it,
It's towards the end, isn't it?
it's the very last page.
On a different planet.
If you read this issue, well, I'm talking about the end of